Hello and welcome. We're going to give it a minute or so here before we fully get started as people start to trickle in. But we're very happy to have you join us here today. We're excited. We're spending some time with you today. All right, this is awesome. Yep, lots of people are coming through here, which is great. Yes, I already see some chats coming through. So yes, please keep those chats coming in and tell us where you're from. We'd love to know who's attending here. The question is, will there be a recording distributed? And yes, anybody that is participating will definitely get a recording after the session. So that's awesome. All right, Sharon's from Boise, which is really cool. Welcome, Sharon. Steamboat Springs, Colorado, Austin, Texas. Wow, love this. Be cool to have a map or something where you could kind of see all the little pins start to fill up, right? So fun. Kansas City, Nashville, Miami.
Yeah.
Wow, we
Like
got a
you think
great
AI
representation.
now with this that Zoom could figure that out, right?
Yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna put in my request.
Right?
Reno, Nevada, Toronto. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Yan. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Good to have you join us. Bloomington, Detroit.
Oh,
This is
yeah,
awesome.
that's a great idea, Arthur. I love the heat map kind of,
Yeah,
concept.
how cool would that be, huh? Awesome. We'll give it another minute and then we'll kick things off. Springville, Utah, Atlanta, Chiefs Kingdom. Haha, welcome, Mike. Grand Rapids. So fun. All
If we
right.
were
Well, this is so great. This is great. As you're coming in here, this is great. Obviously, you've probably already recognized this is a webinar environment. So there's, everybody's on mute to kind of eliminate any kind of background noise, but please interact with us. Please put your questions in the chat. There's also the Q&A box. Whatever I guess is more comfortable for you, go ahead and just throw those out there. And between Christine and I, will make sure and get all of those questions answered before the end of the webinar here today. But I think without further ado, I'm going to introduce ourselves and get started here. Thank you everybody for joining us today. I will quickly jump up here. My name is Arthur and I am the sales director here at Reach Reporting. And over the last 5 years, I've had a chance to work directly with hundreds of firms, helping them get the absolute most out of their Reach Reporting subscription. Whether it's targeted trainings, reviewing reporting strategies, or helping teams discover overlooked opportunities, my job has been to make sure Reach becomes a powerful, practical part of your advisory toolkit. And today's conversation is just exactly with the kind of work that I love, because we're not just talking about features, we're talking about how we actually help CAS firms grow into the role that they've been asked to play. If you're here, if you're here, you're likely part of a CAS team, leading one or figuring out how to build one that actually works. And let's be real, CAS isn't just a buzzword anymore. It's a critical part of how firms grow, deliver value, and evolve beyond traditional audit and tax. But for a lot of teams, especially those newer to the space, stepping into true CAS work can feel super risky, confusing, and at times maybe a little lonely. Many CAS professionals feel like they're on an island. They're stuck trying to operate within firm structures built for audit and tax with goals that don't really align, tools that weren't really made for them, and expectations that don't really reflect the reality of modern advisory work. And so that's why this conversation today matters. And that's why I'm so thrilled to introduce today's guest, Christine Triantos. You probably heard of Christine. She's amazing. She's one of the most experienced voices in the world of CAS today. She spent over 30 years in public accounting, launched and led CAS practices from the ground up, and even helped shape national strategy as a regional partner at BDO. She's not just an expert. She's been in the trenches. She's failed fast, learned faster, and she's helped hundreds of firms navigate the transition. In fact, Christine recently launched a podcast called Fantastic. You guys got to look it up. And in the very first episode, she said something that really stuck to me. She said, about how CAS teams are often still treated as kind of a newer business line, even though they've been around for over 15 years. And because of that, many are operating under outdated expectations, chasing charged hours, stuck in old compensation models, and not given the space to grow or scale or innovate. So Christine's mission, and really the mission of this session, is to change that. But I'm going to let Christine just jump in real quick and tell us just a little bit about what InfiniteTies is all about. Christine?
Thank you. Thank you, Arthur. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me. Yeah, I like to always say we failed a lot, right? Because back when we started CAS, there wasn't anything to really follow. We were really truly on an island. And so we did everything wrong. And so bringing any of that education and just helping firms, we are very passionate about that. So yes, fast forward 30 years later, being on the front line of being a practitioner, which I always say like getting shot at on the front line, but not really. Um, insert InfiniteTies. So we have a CAS community. We have tons of training resource center, but it's all just CAS curated for accounting firms. And so we're super, super excited about it. Getting a lot of traction. We launched a 12-month staff and senior CAS specific training track because everything that we found is always like tax or audit. And so really just passionate about CAS. So thank you for having us and letting me introduce InfiniteTies to you as well.
Amazing, amazing. So happy to have you. And so just to kind of give you a little bit of a rundown of what to expect. We've invited InfiniteTies and Christine to join us because we share the same mission, helping CAS teams not just survive, but thrive. And so at Reach, we believe that technology should reduce friction and not add to it. And InfiniteTies is out there in the field helping firms rethink how they define success. Together, we want to show you how to move from just reporting numbers to telling the financial story, from hesitating to advise to confidently stepping into that role without adding unnecessary risk. This isn't about theory, it's about real world insights, tools, and practices that you can apply immediately. And so here's the 4 things that we're hoping to kind of help today. Number 1, we want to hopefully expose the friction that CAS teams are facing, especially when it comes to risk and responsibility. Simplify advisory work and show how Reach reporting can lower the barrier. Equip you with tools, tactics, and real world examples of how you can move forward. And most importantly, elevate your strategy for what CAS goals can look like, ones that foster trust, promote efficiency, and support your team's growth. And so let's get into it, Christine. I'm going to kick it over to you. I'm going to turn off my screen share here. And why don't you walk us through the landscape and get us started? I think your mic might have just died.
Oh, are we good? Can you hear
There
me?
we go.
Sorry.
Yep,
Okay.
gotcha.
Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. So when we talk about doing these joint webinars, I just love this because all of CAS really revolves around technology, right? What the tech stack is. And so I was just recently at the Bill.com. I know it's Bill, but I'm always going to call it Bill.com. Council meeting last month or a few months ago. And Rene Lessard, it resonated so much when he talked about the difference between automation and AI, because I feel like what we do is we end up trying to just lump everything into AI, right? And there's obviously just a clear kind of line in the sand of what that looks like. And so I know this is oversimplifying, but what I want to just show, just in an oversimplified way, is automation. Automation, and so at the most basic, right? Bank recs. This is auto matching transactions. When we think about AR collections, it's the cadence, statement schedules, payroll, it's the syncing of that, right? Even with accounts payable, it's also the OCR, right? All of that to me is just really automation, even though that there's a layer of AI that goes into it. But when we get into AI, we're talking about making decisions from patterns, right? That AI is really diving in at a deeper level beyond the automation piece. And so I feel like we're in this spot where we're inundated with tech, right? Especially in the CAS space because of the technology. We have like, 30 deep tech stack. And so how are we deciphering that between the automation and the AI? So this was just an example. I just wanted to give you, differences between all of these basic differences. And when we get to the reporting and advisory, insert reach, providing that management narrative, right? Giving real life examples, what if scenarios, and really building upon that. So when we start looking at CAS, right? And we talk about compliance and advisory, CAS 1.0, the AICPA, CPA.com, they do a really fantastic job about, defining CAS 1.0 versus 2.0. But just to simplify it, it's that collection, the reconciling, the reporting, pretty dashboards, right? But without the story. And so I have had a really fantastic tech savvy senior, and he brought me the most beautiful reports. And I'm like, fantastic. So tell me what that means, and he was like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what are you going to give to the client? What are you going to do? You can't just give them the reports without the story. So we say reports are the receipt and the story is the value. And how are you shifting into that 2.0, into that advisory? Because the value is the story, right? And if we're unable to tell that story, we're just not offering those advisory services. So it's that proactive advice, clear narrative, simple next steps. Business owners want clarity and decisions, right? And they expect a conversation. So, and we'll talk about this a little bit more too, but you cannot just take this financial information and just send this, reporting package deliverable to your clients at the end of the month and think that they're going to really understand it, look at it. So it does require that conversation. And that's where the advisory piece comes in. And I always say too, people are afraid, is AI going to take over my job? Is AI? And I'm like, no, because AI should never be able to take over the relationship piece of what we do for our clients, right? That true advisory. All AI should be able to do is make it simple for us to be able to provide the advisory.
Love that. Hey, Christine, somebody's asking in the chat, and this is a question that I think there's a lot of different answers, but what does CAS, what does that stand for?
I love that, right? Because that's evolved. Because it first started with client accounting services, then it moved to CAAS, and then it was client accounting and advisory services. And now it's, I would say, predominantly client advisory services. And so, and it's important. And like I said, CPA.com is really great at this, but I think it's important to just have that commonality of language so that it's like audit tax. So now you have companies and businesses searching for CAS. And so that's really, that's the definition, but that's long answer of that. So, and when you think about CAS, it really is the fastest growing revenue business line within accounting firms, and a lot of just individual practices that are standing up, standalone CAS practices as well.
Amazing.
Okay, so when I love this image here because when we think about this bridge, right? This is the bridge of technology, and that bridge of tech and your tech stack is taking your CAS data and it's bridging it to advisory. Long are the days that we used to have to create all of this by hand, right? Excel, whatever it is that we were doing, really diving into the data to get what we felt like we could present from an advisory standpoint. And so what we want to be careful is, like firms, they buy tools, they present the features, but I love this, but not the outcomes. And so what I love about your product, Arthur, and I want to say that I've been with you since almost day one. Like I totally believe in your product. I think it's fantastic. And your product really is that bridge into advisory. And so when we discuss advisory, I know these are some basic, but I'm always on a soapbox about fixed fee pricing, right? Because when you have all of your deep tech stack, and this was that traditional public accounting, I grew up in public accounting for the last 30 years, but it's that traditional mindset, right? Of like we talked about charge hours and budgeted charge hours. And I'm not saying that we're not tracking charge hours. We just need to shift the mindset around the goals in which we're getting to that productivity. And also then with fixed fee pricing, that allows firms to implement technology, because if you're hourly, right, and you're implementing technology, and that just saved you a bunch of time and created efficiency. Now you just decreased your revenue, and that's not the point that you want to do either, right? And so that pricing model for CAS practices is the utmost important, and that's going to create your efficiencies, and that's going to create capacity within your team. And I know you talk to
Sometimes,
folks all the
yeah.
time about this.
And sometimes it's just hard to break this tradition or this like, hey, we've always done it this way, so let's always continue doing it this way. And I 100%, Christine, we talk to people and they're like, what? So Reach is actually going to save me time or whatever else tool that they're using. I think I'll pass because I'm billing by the hour and I'm trying to, whatever it might be, but it's reusing that time somewhere else so to add more value, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think, from a firm perspective, just with that traditional mindset, in a CAS practice, we're asking people to implement technology and push work down or push work offshore without that like fully built up pipeline. And so people then have that fear factor of implementing tech because they need their charge hours, right? They don't want those to go down. So we're incentivizing the wrong behavior, right? When we do that. And so if we can shift that incentive to the right behavior, because I feel, and we consult with a ton of firms, but I feel like firms then add people when they don't necessarily need people because their people look like they're full and they're not creating those efficiencies with technology. And it's not, so then we end up throwing people at what we think is a problem when really it's the mindset that I think needs to shift. So
I love that.
that's my soapbox on that. Like I'm very passionate about that. So yeah, so the tech frees up capacity. And then again, to setting meetings with the client, this is where the advisory comes in, right? And so what we did and what we still consult firms to do is having those weekly meetings with the client. That could be 15 minutes, that could be 30 minutes or an hour. That's when you're in the weeds. But when you come to the client on a monthly cadence at that, monthly strategic meeting with reports, with a report packet such as yours, that's where that advisory, that's where the relationship comes into play. And we're not in the weeds, right? We're talking high level strategic and what's the story and what are we shifting from a proactive standpoint based on the data that the close and the typical compliance stuff. So, bring in the narrative, bring the why, the numbers. And what we say is the advisory is built and designed so that you're allowing business owners to make decisions, right? It's not, we don't want to come in and act as management because we all know that that's, independence and that's not where we need to live. But it's just presenting data in a way where they're able to make quicker, faster decisions that support their business.
Yeah, we find so many business owners, they look at like a financial statement and they're just like lost. They don't know what they're looking at, the amount of calories it takes to like digest everything that's in there. They're also dealing with this employee that just quit and maybe this guy that drove their truck into a whatever, like they got a lot of stuff going on. And so they look at this report that they can't understand or whatever it is, and they're just like, that's I'm going to pass that and it's going to go over here for now. And that's really what I see when I'm talking to my clients is how they can really help is disseminate what is important and then help the client advise them on what's that next step, what's that lever, what's that button that you need to push so we can continue to keep that business running properly.
Exactly, exactly. And I love that I love that you've been doing this for so long and you understand firms because you've talked to thousands of firms too. So you get it. You totally get it. So, when we talk about firms, when we come into practices, the majority of, not, I don't want to say the majority, but a lot of what we see is like, it's the write-up work still, maybe it's in that 1.0 space. And so then it's just trying to evolve firms into that advisory space. But like, these are just some of the reasons that we found that why firms fear advisory, because Do we have are they trained properly? They think I'm not qualified to advise, right? I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing. Um, but I think I love this slide because it's understanding you're not giving advice, you're facilitating awareness. Again, what are you providing, presenting to them that's on a deeper level about their business, especially when you get into the industry niches and you become experts in these industry niches and you can start to see trends within your other clients, and you can start to advise your clients on just those industry standards. I think that's really important. I know we're going to talk about some of that too with you. But the AI assisted templates with reach reporting is where do I start? And so it's really if I know a lot of firms are in the advisory space. I know a lot of firms are still in the compliance space, but it's how can you shift that mindset into that advisory. But like I want to say though that the most important thing is investing in the training for your team. And that training could be, various things, right? But one of the things that I think is really important of what we did and to firms is having all of your staff that's allocated to that client on every call in every meeting, because how are we training all of these individuals up if they're not hearing that conversation and that advisory conversation over and over and over and over and over again, right? And so it's just important to have them just be a part of those conversations so that they can learn. And then also investing in training for just technical training. So, and I mean, that's why we're so passionate about InfiniteTies, because we're like, we just want to train these CAS professionals. So we do the technical training, but also the technology training, right? And so there's a lot that goes with technology and technical. And so, and it's a different, I want to just also say it's just a different service model too, right? Than the traditional mindset of audit and tax, because this is every day, every week, all the time, right? That CAS model really is that monthly fixed fee, recurring revenue client with a deliverable, with the advisory. And so that service model changes everything, right? It's like you're just basically a part of their team, and that just creates more of that trusted advisor role. So I know those are just in, you can see some of these like fear factors. I love the little monster, right? We have liability concerns and all that fun stuff. But I think this depicts the true like fear of why some firms get stuck in that 1.0 to 2.0 bridge as well. Everything's a
Yeah.
bridge, right?
Totally, totally. And that's one of the cool things. So, and I'm going to jump over and I can jump into a little bit of a demo of Reach, but that's the question we constantly hear is what do I show, right? What do I need to talk about, right? Because again, it goes down to like, well, do I need to spend all my time reviewing the financials or like, where do I start? And so Reach is kind of designed in such a way that we've done a lot of that thinking for you. And so if I click just up in our add report section from template, you'll see we have a huge library of templates. And think of these as all the different starting points you can start with. A lot of this stuff has been thought through by people that are business analysts, people that know business, and just because it's in one of these reports doesn't mean you necessarily have to show it either. So I have one of our templates set up here, and I'm just going to quickly jump into it so you can kind of see a lot of our clients, they will start with one of our templates, and because really it's available right out of the box, right? So if you scroll through here, instead of giving a typical P&L, this report actually, oh, and I just, of course, need to backdate my data because, excuse me for one quick second. I have old demo data, so I'm going to go back to 2023, which is actually a really cool feature of Reach. So you can actually run any of these reports for different time periods in very, very quick order. So here I go. I was in 2025, and now I'm back in 2023. I've jumped in my time machine. And you'll see really quick if I jump into some of these pages that you'll see these are coming from your typical financial statement packages, your P&L, your balance sheet, your cash flow statement. But instead of looking at them like maybe what people are used to, just numbers like this, what we've done is we've said, let's actually take those numbers and let's make them graphs and pictures and all that kind of fun stuff. And this is the stuff that those business owners that we're advising, this is the stuff that they thrive on. They love to see numbers and how they change over time. They love to see graphs and charts and things like that. And basically, you can just think of this as conversation starters. Every one of these little metrics, these graphs that are here, can be a conversation starter that you can use to have one of your weekly meetings on, or maybe it's a monthly meeting, or maybe it's a quarterly meeting. And if you look through here, there's tons of stuff. And so what we generally recommend is maybe don't give them everything right at once. Instead, give them a portion of this report, right? You can come in here and just by simply removing pages, you can get rid of some of the stuff that maybe is overwhelming or maybe it's just too much for them at the start. And then as time goes by, you can give them another page here and there. The scratch pad is super powerful for this. You can save pages and then drop them in from other reports and put them into the report so that you can use them whenever you want. And the fun thing about this is just an evolving conversation that you're going to have with your clients over time that's going to really help them um, build their business. And one of the things that we tell people, and this is kind of fun, sometimes a client's going to throw out a question to you, and with Reach, you can answer that question in minutes. But I challenge you to not. I challenge you to hold back, give it a day, give it 2 days, make them feel like you wrestled with it for, you know, in a dark room with a pot of coffee for days, and then bring it out to them because you don't want to cheapen the experience. Reach can do things in such, quick mode, but to have something that, give them a little bit of time before you give it to them. For example, I just want to quickly show one quick example. Say this graph here, it's got cash balance over time. In the back end of Reach, we have the spreadsheet fill. And you can see that we have this trailing 12-month average, which is just built using simple Excel-like language. But say, for example, they wanted to see how are we trending instead of looking at what the average is. Well, with Reach, you can see click here, and boom, we have a trend, right? And you can say, what does that look like over the next maybe 5 months or something? You can kind of see where it's going. Obviously, that takes you 30 seconds, but how cool is it if you can get back to them in a little bit and let them know that you worked on this really, really cool thing for them.
And you
Beyond
know
that,
what,
we go
here
ahead.
though, I just want to just say too,
Yeah,
because I think this is a really important part for firms, right? Because what you're showing, I think I would say that firms are split 50-50, where they say, you know what, I just want to invite the client into the products and I want them to, navigate and I want to present from within the product, right? And so I know we'll talk, but you can white label and that's where the firms are. If that's not where your comfort lies, your product though also accommodates extracting that data and exporting that data where you're not necessarily inviting the client in and you're still providing all the same information. I think that this is a really hot topic with firms because this is where they say, well, if I invite my client in, will they still need me?
right, right.
And
Great question.
right.
How would you answer that, Christine?
um, I really think it depends on the depth of the advisory services that you're offering, right? I,
Right.
I really truly do. And so if you are just sending that report and they are able to decipher it and they're able to take the data, then that might not be the best, path of inviting the client. But I'll actually ask you the same question, Arthur, because you talk to firms. What do you find that firms prefer, or when do you find that they prefer that or not?
Yeah, great answer. Great question. So basically, we find most of our firms kind of like to hide that they're using Reach if they can, because Reach is just so powerful and so quick. You still need an advisor if you're using Reach? And I would say the answer is yes, because the advisors come with, like you said earlier, if they're working with a bunch of similar clients in similar industries, they're going to come with all this additional knowledge and understanding and know-with-all that they're going to be able to apply. But they also know finances. They know what to look for. Reach is going to give you some of these things out of the box, but they know as an advisor, you're going to start to learn what are the questions that you can ask. and to the client to get a little bit deeper and understand, what is the client's goals and where are they trying to go. And you speak numbers in a different way than they do. And so I would say that the advisor is paramount. Reach is just a tool to help the advisor, not to replace the advisor in any way at all. Even our AI analysis tool, which is really, really fun. If you haven't seen this yet, we can click on this AI button here and I can analyze the entire report. And when I click on it, it's going to give me a quick rundown of what's going on in this report. It's actually going to look at trends, it's going to look at variances, and it's going to say, okay, what are the most important things to point out? But even that, you look through this, that is just a starting point. It still needs the advisor to come back in and say, okay, this is relevant, this isn't relevant, because I know the client's needs and their goals and where they're trying to go. And so this is, again, it's meant to save you time, but not to replace you. I think that's a really important distinction.
Right. So if you're not inviting them in, right, you take that AI analysis, that's then your story and those become your talking points. I love the chat because Jim says, I don't think any of my clients would go into the product, which a lot of clients just won't, right? They're like, I don't want to, don't make me log into something different. And so then they just want you to be the advisor. And then we have Logan that says all of my clients have access to Reach and they're constantly logging in. I love that too, right?
Love that.
And so it's really what you're comfortable with. And maybe you test some clients out that you do invite in or you don't. But I love this AI analysis, which is awesome. And so just questions to Arthur on this AI analysis, that's available on every single report, on every single KPI dashboard that is built within your product, correct?
Yeah, it's a wide open feature that's available to anybody. You can analyze a report. You can also analyze a dashboard, which is really, really powerful. Dashboards can also be a little bit of a in between, right? So the reports you're generally delivering, dashboards are kind of like interactive and always there and available for the clients to access. And so if you do have a client that likes to kind of tinker, but you don't want to give them full access to Reach, dashboards are a fantastic option as well, because you can give them dials to play with and things to drop down. And so anyway, they can do it on demand. They don't need you to deliver it. So anyway, you have options essentially.
And I do, and I'm like watching the chat too, because Alicia says, so you're saying firms don't use the interactive dashboard. I still think it's split, right? And that is the one thing by not inviting your clients and not presenting from within your product is that it's not that dynamic interactive dashboard. It's more than just like a screenshot, right? And so you do lose that, I don't know, like I don't want to call it functionality, but like the coolness of the interactive dynamic dashboard. So again, it's a preference. I love the conversation because everyone's split.
Yeah.
Everyone's split. Yeah.
And you might even be split at your firm with the different clients you have, right? You might, for one client, you give them everything, right? Like, hey, jump in here because I know you like to play and I know you know what you're doing. For other clients, that might just be way too much. And just like the reports can be customized, you can customize your approach to working with different clients.
Yep. But again, too, I want to just keep harping on it's the advisory piece, it's the conversation, right? It really
Absolutely.
is that's what AI should never be able to replace is that relationship. And so, and that's the strategic conversations of where they want to be in 1 year, 3 year, 5 years. Are they looking to sell? What's that high level? Yeah, let's
Totally.
keep going on some of these. I
Yeah.
love these
I want to,
examples.
yeah, jump in. Last quick thing, just mentioning based off what you're saying, we're not going to go into it today, but budgeting and forecasting, if you are starting to talk with them and saying what is down the road, we can definitely help with that as well. But this is really cool. This was released this year, and I just wanted to quickly touch on it because, again, it answers that question, what do I even show my clients? Where do I start? And so we've already kind of touched on all the templates that are in Reach, but what you're going to find is those templates are built to be very kind of high level, like total income, total expenses, and so forth. Whereas our AI generator, what it's going to do is it's actually going to create a report, and there's a few different styles that you can use. But notice that it's going in here. It's actually taking all of the data from your bookkeeping, throwing it into the AI, saying, what should we look at? Look, it's identifying trends and variances and all that kind of stuff. We say you can use these kind of charts and you can design it in this simple way. But you can see there within a minute, you have a report that goes a level deeper. Instead of just looking at your total income, now it's going to look at what makes up that income, right? So your sales hardware, your sales from your software, and it's going into the account level to say, what are some things that are important to look at? Everything from these little sentences that can explain what's actually it's trying to show to the tables, and some graphs, of course, that it's really trying to highlight for us to show the client. And so again, another starting point. And I often say, even if you're not sending this to your client, use it as a starting point for yourself, because that gets you running off and understanding what's going on in the business.
And just point of clarification, though, Arthur, I just want to make sure
Yes, of
these
course.
budget reports, that's given that there's budgets in the GL platform, correct?
So yes, and others, right? So Reach has the ability for you to create a full three-way budget or forecast right within our tool. So we can sync it from like QuickBooks Online or Xero. You can upload it from Excel, or you can actually build it right within Reach and use it for your reporting.
Perfect. Awesome. Because I think that's a big point of clarification, right? Is where it's built and where that data lives. And I know we'll talk a little bit too, but you can also link and connect. Does that budget link and connect to Google Sheet?
Yes, yeah. So if you have Google Sheets that you're sharing with other people or Excel, you can enter in details, and that can inform the budget or the forecast that you're creating. So it can be a very collaborative experience for sure.
Okay. Okay. I love that. And I know I've been talking to you guys since like I said, inception. And the one thing that I always loved too, and hopefully I'm not a liar now about your products, is really that whole multi-currency, right? Too. And if you can just state your financials in any given currency at any given point in time, I thought that was
You
always
totally can.
fascinating.
Yeah, consolidations, all that kind of stuff. Oh man, there's so much, and it would take us many hours to go through it all. But yes, consolidations are a big key thing that people love about what Reach can help.
Perfect.
One of the things that I just love that you requested us to show during this webinar is we have this. Again, if you're starting to ask where do I start, we have created, and I'm just going to pull it in here, some key financial reporting metrics for some various industries, including dental practices. We have them for real estate agents and so forth, and we're going to make these available to the audience of this webinar as well. But these are a great place to start as well. So again, we're just trying to make this as easy as possible for you when you're starting out in your advisory. What do I look at? What do I talk about? Where do I go? Well, this document specifically for dentists in this case is going to talk to you about some revenue metrics, some different calculations or ratios you can build. Going through here, maybe some margins, right? And it even has some goals, right? So where should it be? Staff cost ratio, typically targeted 25 to 30%. We've done our research. We talked to tons of accountants, and we know whereabouts it is. Now, your firm might be different, and you might see things a little differently, but at least, again, it gives you that starting point. And so we're going to make this available to all of the audience as well.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love that, when we ask and any of your firms ask for anything, you guys generally just build it. So thank you. We have a lot of requests for nonprofit templates.
Uh-huh.
And so maybe that's something that we can
Yeah.
focus on too. And pull in like experts within the nonprofit. We do have a question too, Arthur, of how do you integrate non-financial data? Healthcare codes, number of employees, so metrics could be broken out in more detail.
Yeah, love that question. So we have Excel and we have Google Sheets. So if you can get that stuff into a table, then Reach can use that for building those graphs and those tables and different things that you're going to be using it for.
And that's dynamic too, right? So anything that gets updated in Excel, anything that gets updated in Google Sheets, it automatically, once you refresh that report, automatically pulls that data in, right? And
Exactly.
so
Yep.
it's not a heavy lift. So if you just have the data file, you're able to just create it in Reach and then it'll just update. And so yeah, so we have that and some other industry niches that people would love, which I love. Um, so where will we eventually find those key reporting metrics by specific business? So what the metrics we just like they Reach just created, right? And
That's
so
right.
I don't know, Arthur, that was something that we wanted to give as a handout or as a deliverable. So maybe for all of the people that we have on the call, we can send that to them or make that
Yeah, so
available.
after the call, just so everybody knows, we're going to be sending the recording of this call. So everybody has that for reference. And as well, we'll send you these a link that you can access all of these. We have 7 of them, including not-for-profit, as mentioned, real estate, dental, restaurants, SaaS, a few different ones, and we'll pass those along to you.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Thank you. And thank you for doing that because that was like, I'm like, I want to show this. Okay.
Oh, my pleasure. And we rely on people like yourselves and everybody in the audience to help us know what's most valuable and what's important for people. So thank you.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Okay. So like jumping back to like how now that you've seen the product and we've talked about advisory, and we're just taking small steps for those, I know a lot of people on the call are probably like expert advisors. So fantastic. And if there's anything that you can share with the group, we learn from each other. So please just put it in the chat as well. But let's just go through a few, right? Like number one, first defining advisory that you have to define within your practice. And I love this. Like it's a facilitation. It's not a crystal ball, right? You can't have your clients think that you can see into the future and predict everything that's going to happen and, warn them to avoid whatever could be bad or wrong for their business. It's not that, but explaining what moved and why. So I think even just defining what that advisory is really important. I
Christine,
love
did you want to
this.
jump? Do you want to share your screen again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
No
Am
worries.
I? Sorry.
No, you're
Is
fine.
that I'm screen sharing? Is it not? Okay, hold on.
Oh,
I'm
looks
going to
like they
stop.
can see it. Okay, looks like Sarah can see it and Cindy can see it. Okay,
Oh,
we're good. We're good. Then we're
oh,
good to go.
let me go back. Can you, Arthur, you can't?
No, but I'm gonna go find it.
Okay. Okay. As long as everybody can. But again, please put in the chat if you can, and I'll,
Okay, now we see it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, everybody's popping
okay.
in. We're good. Okay.
Okay. And I love this aspect too of like just starting small. It doesn't have to be big, right? If you're just getting into that advisory, it doesn't have to be big. So productize 3 starter services that's repeatable and low risk, such as like that 13-week cash flow analysis. And I know you have a cash flow analysis built within your product too. So just taking that and really showing them, because we all know, like we're all accountants, like what they think that they see on their income statement. Yeah, well, you have, $70,000 of property taxes due next month too. So your available cash is not your available cash. Gross margin analysis and monthly management narrative. I love this too. 3 wins, 3 risks, and 3 decisions. And so when you just think about starting small from an advisory standpoint, I think that those are something that you could easily start to implement. Develop scripts. I love this too, right? What are you giving your team? Because that advisory fear of what if I say the wrong thing? What if I don't know the answer? Just starting to develop those scripts that your team can reference, I think is really cool and really important. Um, Build a safety net because you're not on an island from this perspective, right? So develop that escalation matrix so that you know when you need to bring in, you're the trusted advisor. So when are you bringing in the people and you have that expert bench, right? And this is something we say all the time. We do a lot of training of knowing when to stay in your lane, right? You are the trusted advisor, but also you need to mitigate risk and you need to know when to stay in your lane, but you need to have talking points enough to know to be able to talk through those things with the clients, but then again, knowing when to bring in those experts, which mitigating risk, establishing those guardrails in your statement of work and or engagement letter, right? Like this is not legal tax advice. This is very much management reporting scenarios facilitation. And so we've talked a lot with CPA.com too on even just using CFO, right? Like we're not here to make management decisions. We're here to provide you the information for you to make your own management decisions. So I think that that's just really important. And then this train by doing, micro upskilling, right? Bring the team into those strategic advisory client meetings. That was what I said. Like they just aren't going to learn if you don't keep bringing them in so that they could just listen. And I love the show lead model, right? Where your director may facilitate the first two sessions, and then your manager or senior leads the third session, and you start to get them involved, and they start to talk and think through those pieces. So that's just some just quick things to maybe think about implementing. So now what I want to go to, Arthur, is this. Well, we're going to get to your slide too. Sorry. So from packets to plans, that's the CAS upgrade, right? So automation rules, AI suggests, and we tell the story. So just think that that's really, really important of where do we see ourselves and how are we defining our services. But fixed fee, fixed fee, fixed fee, right? Because I always say when you're creating these efficiencies and we as accountants underestimate our value and we don't communicate our value to our clients, right? And so they get so fixated on pricing and fees when it should be the value proposition. And so it just as much as you can convert to fixed fee, that margin should be your gain. That wherever you're creating those efficiencies shouldn't be the client's gain. That should be your gain, firm's gain. Okay, so I love this slide, right? Because this reach reporting attributes, because this is how my brain thinks as an accountant. And so to me, that technology bridge and that gateway to CAS. And so I really just want to start to just touch on a few, like on just high level on each of these. But when we talk about custom and consolidated reports, right, we know that you have the templates. We know you have the out of the box dashboards, but you can also, what I love about it is starting with the templates and then it kind of guides you and teaches you how to edit and modify those so that you can start to create your own custom because you're learning as you go. And I think that that's really important because when we work with firms and implementing technology, a lot of it's really hard to stand up and it's a huge learning curve. I always just tell vendors, bring in your product, give a team what they need to know tomorrow, and they will learn it along the way. Don't come in and provide all of this like 1 week, 2 week, 1 month training because they're not going to remember it at all. Give them what they need right now and they'll learn it. Um, and so the custom, I think, is really, really important. But then the consolidated reporting, right? So you're taking multi-entity, you're doing combined financial statements, and you can do, your normal reports from a combined perspective, right?
Totally. Yeah. And one of the things we just harp on constantly is template, template, template. You do something once and you want to use it for 100 other clients, you only need to do it that once. And then you turn it into a template and then you just plug and play. It's like a stamp, it boom, 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 but with that new company's numbers. And so important that, our philosophy is let's give you a template to know some place to start. So today you can actually have value and send something off to your client. But then as things evolve, because clients' needs change and evolve, you're going to need to customize it. And so we've kind of made, hopefully, the goal is to be the best of both worlds.
Well, and what I like about that, because what you're saying though too is you can create your own firm templates, right? So whatever industry niche you're in, you're not creating that for every single client. You're just creating that template and it's plug and play,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
it's kind of become like your own special sauce, right? Like anybody can get a report out of QuickBooks, right? I can go across the street and get that from any firm. But if you've built a report that's exactly what the client needs with their KPIs, with the things that speaks to them, they're going to go across the street and they're not going to get that anymore if they do. And so it becomes a little bit of a stickiness tool for you as well.
Yep. And I'm just going to pause here because we have a question.
Sure.
Are we running that 13-week cash flow in Reach or in Excel? And
Oh,
again,
good
if that's
question.
not something that we can do in Reach, can you build that for us?
Yeah, yeah. So 13-week cash flow is not something we currently handle inside of Reach. Right now, we're more kind of like monthly based. However, we do have cash flow analysis tools. So you can come in, we have templates, we have dashboards, we have reports, all specifically designed around cash flow analysis. Plus, we have cash flow forecasting on the monthly basis. And so, yeah, not so much on the 13-week at the moment, but there's a lot of other ways that you can look at and handle your cash within Reach.
Awesome. 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 So I love the consolidated combined financial reporting. The reporting too on multiple dimensions, because I think that that becomes an issue with different software and technology, right? So can you expand on on the dimensions that you can report on?
Yeah, so in Zero, it's tracking categories. In QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop, it's classes and locations. And so, yeah, being able to create like a P&L with, divisional P&L side by side, or look at how the revenue or the margin, the net margin looks at by each division, or however you want to do that. You can even do budgeting and forecasting by division. So, yeah, we're definitely designed to be able to help you in a lot of those different ways.
Perfect. Awesome. And I know you touched on the three-way budgeting and forecasting. So that when you say three-way, I'm going to say like that's either in the Geo platform, that's either within Reach, and then or it's like a Google Sheet and Excel. Is that,
Apps,
do I
yeah,
have that?
great question. Great question. So those are the different sources for the budget data. But when we say three-way planning, we mean you're planning your P&L and you're planning your balance sheet, and you're looking at all three statements, and that's going to affect your cash. So essentially, you can do a holistic look at how your business is performing and start to plan out the next 6, 12, 24 months on what's going to happen specifically with your cash.
Awesome. Is that, and I'm just asking these questions for me.
Yeah.
Is that a template? Is that
So
a,
it's that one's not a template. That one's more of a tool. It's you can go
okay.
in and you can build it. We have tons of different like drivers and settings that you can play with to model your numbers in different ways. But yeah, once you build that, then the reporting piece can become templatized. So how you're presenting that piece is templated.
Okay, so I just found our next webinar topic, right?
Yes.
Like if we could do the three-way, I'd love to like show that to people and learn that and just see it in real time. Then
Yeah, let's
we
do
did
it.
talk about the KPIs, non-financial data. So we talked about that, but I do think that that's really important because the linking to Excel or Google Sheets as that dynamic um, just connectivity, I think is huge. It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah,
So.
when you can combine non-financial and financial data, it tells so many cool insights. So yes, love that.
Yep. See, we have buy-in for that next webinar, Arthur.
Yes, okay. We'll
um,
consider it done.
the AI analysis variance trends, I love that. You saw that. So that's just on every single report that you can do. You can click that button and it'll give you just some feedback and analysis. Love that. Either that's your story that you're telling to your clients, or that's something again you're inviting them in and providing that within the product, however you determine you want to service your clients.
Totally.
This is amazing because when I asked you this question of how many out of the box templates and dashboards do you have, I like when I last asked you that question, it might have been last year, it was like 40 and now it's 130. And so I was like so impressed and shocked, but I think that that's amazing. And and I always say this too. I think that there are a lot of firms that as they start to create their industry templates and dashboards too, if that's something that they feel like sharing, as a template, I think as a community, we just kind of all come together and support each other, and those can become templates. I know you and I have worked with firms on like restaurants and dashboards for the restaurants. So
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely facilitate that.
love that. Plug and play. And I'm not saying this just because I'm on this webinar with Arthur. It is literally, I would say you connect it to QBO or Zero, and you have access to those 130 templates, I would say within a few minutes.
Absolutely. Yep.
Like
Yeah, it's
I'm not
minutes. It's the API connects it. Basically, you go in, you log in with your QuickBooks or Zero credentials. That's the longest part. And then you click and you're going, and you can see some really cool things within minutes for sure. Things that you'll be
that's
proud of to send your clients like right out of the box. So
yeah.
fun.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And your staff want to play with this. The staff want to learn it, right? This is what they are in
Yeah,
to CAS to do too. They're like, I'm a tech nerd. And so I know there's a lot of tech nerds in the accounting space and they want to touch and play. And again, this could be something like how we always start with technology is we integrate it but we're not setting any expectations with the clients that they're going to get anything. We want to play with it. We want to touch it. We want to look at it and figure out what that value is before we present it to the client. And then I know we talked about white label options and firm branding, and that's really important if you are inviting your clients. So you can white label within your product, right?
Yep, yep. So we have dashboards so the reports are white labeled right out of the box, right? Like you can drag in logos and all that kind of fun stuff. Generally, when you're sharing a dashboard or report, no, sorry, a dashboard or the client portal, it will say reach reporting on it, but we can actually change that to say your firm. And so it kind of makes it look like it's, again, that secret special sauce that you guys are creating, and really helps, keep your clients with you. So that's definitely an option we can offer.
We have a question from Candace. What is classified as a connection for pricing purposes? That's a file, right? An entity.
Yeah, yeah, one legal entity. That's right.
But it's not like Google Sheets and it's not Excel. Like those are not considered connections. It's just per legal entity.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So every time you integrate with QuickBooks or you can upload an Excel company as well. That would count as one. But if you're using the Excel or the Google Sheets for the non-financial data, that's free game. Use it as much as you want. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Awesome. Anything more on this as far as attributes or anything? What I would love about like who's on the call, because we have a lot of reach users. What are we missing on this slide? What are we missing that you think is like one of the best, coolest things about reach that we didn't capture?
Oh, what
Again,
a
I'm
great
always
question. I love that question.
learning, always learning.
Yeah.
Especially everybody's in this, like in the products, like all the time. And they look at it from a different light from what you look at it too, Arthur, right? And what the engineers look at it from. So if there's anything that we didn't capture, or if we captured it all and we nailed it, that's good too.
Give us a thumbs up. Yeah, exactly.
So this is my mantra, right? And so anything that you build, especially within the CAS, has to be sustainable, scalable, repeatable. And I really, really do believe in reach reporting, and that allows you to do that. But anything that you're doing, best practices from any perspective, needs to be these three things, or else you're just not going to grow your practice fast enough.
Awesome. Well, this kind of takes us to the last bit of our content here, but we would love if there's any other questions, please put them in here. Looks like a couple people. Christine responded, my clients by far favorite the live interactive dashboards. We have one client in particular for whom we update dashboards daily for sales activity. Fun. Okay, very cool.
That's awesome. And then what's this? Once you get to the point where you are adding your own metrics, the back end coding of it being Excel like makes it really easy to transfer over to Reach. This is what I loved. The international reporting, the foreign currency, and that it was really, I say it this way, and I know it's not accurate, but that Reach was built on an Excel platform, which we all as accountants love and don't ever want Excel to go away. So it made it so much easier to use. And I know that's probably not the right terminology, but that's what
No, and that's fine. We say spreadsheet backend, and really we wanted you to feel like you knew how to use the tool before you got into the tool, right? And so spreadsheets, same formulas, calculations, or removing the negatives of spreadsheets that they don't update, that the numbers, the formulas can break, and just keeping all of the positives, right? And so that's kind of what's been our mission.
And I think this is important. So Mike is asking, what about getting financial and non-financial data? You either are connecting it to QuickBooks or Xero, but Mike, if you just have that data or like somehow organized within your Excel file, you can bring it in and start to create those custom dashboards and KPIs.
And we have, like, our team is here to help. So if you're like, how do I get this Excel thing to work, or Google Sheets, or I want to build this benchmark, we don't charge for our service, our help, right? Like, you have unlimited. So please take us up on that. We would love to sit down with you on a one-to-one call and just help you get that set up so that you can do your benchmarks for your water rates and your water loss and all that kind of fun stuff, because it's right within our wheelhouse to be able to help you with that.
Yeah, you guys are very responsive, which is really important, especially as we're in this tech inundated space, to just know that the support is there. You guys are very responsive, even with 4 kids. Arthur, you're super.
That's right. Control Z, yes. I want to say I think that works. I'll have to double check that, but I'll put it on the list if it isn't for sure. Um, Alicia says, any advice on hiring good advisors? This one's a good one for Christine, who
And how to
actually know
provide.
how to provide FP&A and how to actually analyze and present the data in a meaningful way to the clients. Do you have any
Yeah,
plans for a marketplace or available templates? Okay, well, I can answer the second one. Why don't you kick off the first one?
I would just say, first of all, it's the training, so it's that upskilling. There's two answers. It's upskilling your existing staff into that advisory, which we do offer within our community, but also it's expanding this outside of just the accountants realm, right? Like we hired a lot of finance degree people or people that just had financial analysis that were not accountants because we didn't need them to be in the books doing. We needed that financial mindset. And so it really is also thinking outside the box of the types of people that you would consider hiring.
Yeah, great answer. In terms of a marketplace for available templates that people can share, yes, you're looking into the future a little bit with us. And I don't know how far or distant it is, but you can imagine that we have 130 templates. But we're not going to help everybody with all of these templates. We know that you guys are the experts. And so yes, down the road, we do hope to make it so that there's a community and you can create templates and share them across the community. Nothing that I have a timeline on at the moment, but it is definitely our vision to really enable collaboration across this industry for sure.
I love this statement by Wendy. I'm amazed after being a controller CFO for 40 years how easy you have made this. I'm still a rookie at it, but have been so impressed. It's
That kind of comment makes me so happy.
right. Like it's just so amazing. It's just, and that kudos to Reach Reporting because you guys really are like just doing amazing things in this space. So thank you for being that vendor in this CAS space too.
Amazing. Yes, it's our pleasure. And I'm just living the funnest life because I get to talk to cool people like everybody here and show a really fun tool. So it's really a pleasure.
Awesome. I
Patricia,
know we're
yes,
over, we're at
recording coming.
time.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that
Let's wrap
we'll
up.
get a recording.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. Thank you everybody. I know we're at time, but Arthur, I'll let you close out.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, everybody. There will be a survey that comes up as soon as you click out. We would love feedback. So I know you've been given some amazing feedback in the chat. Thank you. But we do take this seriously. We want to do more of these. We want to be valuable to you guys. So please respond to that. It's 3 quick questions, and it'll mean a lot. Other than that, we mentioned the recording's coming. We'll send off the resources, and please we love you guys. So come in and come talk to us. Reach out to us at support@reachreporting.com if you need anything, and it'll get you connected with one of our reps. All right.
Yeah, or find us at any conference too, right?
Yes.
Interconnect, digital, like we're at
Yes.
all of so
Amazing. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Take care.
thanks everybody. Thanks, Arthur. Bye.